This is where the fun begins.
Hello, and welcome to our literature review here. And I am glad to have Stig Kenobi and Lady Tauriel on this session of literature review. And we are going to review the wonderful novel, which is the prequel to Revenge of the Sith, that is called Labyrinth of Evil. And so just a quick history here, and then I'll have the panelists introduce themselves a little bit more. And the author is James Luceno. The book, the Del Rey is the publisher, and the publishing date is 2005, which means that this was published before Revenge of the Sith came out.
2 months before, I think.
I think a little bit further, because I think this is December, and Revenge of the Sith came out in May or something like that. So,
I think it's March.
March? Okay.
I think so.
Okay, children.
It was meant, if you read the book back then, right as a warm-up to the movie, it's pretty damn perfect, though. Sadly, I didn't do that, but that would have been perfect.
Oh, yeah. And after I got done reading, I listened to both the Audible and then read the book and everything. And then after that, I went ahead and watched Revenge of the Sith. Perfect. It was awesome. Yeah. And of course, the timeline, if you don't know the timeline in Star Wars, it's 19 BBY. So basically, it is just right there on the cusp of Revenge of the Sith. In fact, it leads into Revenge of the Sith.
Also, I stand corrected. It was released in January. I mixed it up with another book.
Yeah, exactly. I think I did too. So anyways, let's go ahead and thank you, Lady Tauriel, for coming in. It's always a pleasure to have you on my channel.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm just glad the connection's holding out okay so far.
Yeah. She's been going kind of digital, like Tom was going digital last night on his channel a little bit. We just EU people are just having a tough time with our electronics sometimes. So yes, and so she got to basically, and I guess I'm speaking for you. I guess I'm woman-splaining for you.
That's a new thing, woman-splaining. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, I'm woman-splaining for the woman and the other woman in
woman-splaining also has another name. It's called nagging.
Oh, shit. No, it doesn't. There's a difference with that. Anyways, and
mansplaining is I'm always right, so don't argue with me. Is that it too? Okay, yeah. We're going with that.
Well, also known as fact.
So we're going now. Wilkins isn't in the chat. Don't start this, okay?
You might pop on later. I didn't him.
Well, if Wilkins pops on, he's going to be woman-splaining too.
Oh. Okay. All right. So as I was trying to say, or trying to woman-splain, that Lady Tauriel basically experienced the book through Audible, which is unabridged, but it's still a wonderful listen to. So I think they really did good with this unabridged version of it. So, yeah. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
I enjoyed it. I really did. It's a wonderful, even though it was abridged, it was a pretty good breakdown, and the characters still resonated very well.
What did you think about when they were on Cato and the Moidia, and they were in the battle scene with those big old huge beetle creatures? What do you think about that?
Oh, I thought that was actually cool.
Yeah.
And it's great. I don't know, books are amazing. I mean, I like the movies, but if you haven't ever seen the movie, or if they haven't ever made a movie of it, your imagination does wonderful things for you when you're reading.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Stig and I went through that a few times, explaining how books can take you into the imagination, which is a creative thought process that keeps your brain pretty sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually
for you. Yeah,
I read a research about that, about the entertainment mediums that we use. Watching TV was actually the worst because you just get fed.
Yeah.
So it's your brain is just being spoon fed. But books were at the top, and it's because you have to picture it in your head. You have to focus. Sometimes, in my case, you have to translate, and you also have to remember what you read before.
Yeah,
with all kinds of little processes going on. The second one was actually a video game because it's a two-way communication.
Yeah. And so Stig, so I know you read the novel completely. I know you didn't listen to the Audible, right?
No, I listened to the Audible.
Oh, okay. So you did both, or you did both, or you did just that?
I just did that just to make sure I'd be done.
Okay, you're like, I'd be done and over with this.
Yes, because I missed out on a couple of these.
Yeah. I know you have a heavy reading schedule too, and you not only just stick to the Star Wars EU, you're also reading other fantasy books too. So
yeah. I when I lay down and read, I stay there for at least almost 100 pages or 200 sometimes. So I just I go off to La La Land.
Yeah. Nice. That's at a good discipline. As a reader, you're like, okay,
it has nothing to do with discipline. It's just that I like it.
I was just like complimenting you big time. You're like, it has nothing to do with it.
He just gets lost in the book. That's kind of like me. That's like when I if you don't see me on a lot, it's probably because I'm either listening to an audiobook or I'm reading.
Yeah.
And you forget about time.
Yeah.
I remember I got Tauriel to read the Thrawn book, and she read it, the whole thing, in half a week.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That is awesome.
Yeah. Got a message saying, "What have you done to me?"
That's a good thing, though. It just makes my heart so happy.
Yeah, and you know what?
What?
You can only read a movie for the first time once.
Yeah.
So it's better to sit back and really enjoy it, right?
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and see who's in the chat. So we have Miss Martin Muses with her traditional hand wave and rose. Hello, lovely. And then we have Shane Nolan here. Hello, Alora, Stig, and Teresa. Yeah. We do have Lady Tauriel, so I guess he's saying hi to Teresa above.
Well, just scroll down a little bit and.
Yeah, and my Lady Tauriel. There we go. And then
hey, Shane.
Yes. And then Soul Assassin, how are you doing? It's always a pleasure to see you here. Howdy, y'all. So we got a little bit of Southern draw going on there, I guess. And then Open Airlock Policy, Tim, hello, and thank you for joining us. And then Shane Nolan, the business on Cato Nomoidia doesn't dosed count?
Doesn't count.
Does it?
It says doesn't.
Okay. And then sorry to be gross, but the only time I have to read now is on the shitter. Wow.
You know what? When I was a kid and even way into my teens, I used to read Conan comics on the toilet. My parents thought I was doing something else in there, though, because I was in there for hours. But I was just in there reading because it was such a quiet place.
You surprised your parents so much with your behavior.
It reminds me of Home Alone when he went running into the bathroom to figure out that message with his decoder.
Yeah.
When he said that, and it's like, I'll be out in a minute.
Yeah, I had a little stack of comics and stuff next to the toilet.
I wonder what your parents thought you were doing when you were there with the comics. I mean, besides reading.
Let's not go there. I'm sure they had their thoughts about it and that they were wrong.
Lord. Okay, let me compose myself No. Open airlock policy. I don't watch TV or movies either. I don't hardly watch any movies or TV.
Basically, all he does is sit on the shitter.
Oh my God! How do you know what Tim does?
He sits
Come
there
on
like
now.
a psycho. He sits on the shitter like a psycho and says, "I don't read or watch movies or TV." And then there's a plop.
A plop. Oh my God. We are into like toilet talk now, bathroom talk, literally.
We're down the toilet, in other words. Okay.
Yeah, this stream went down the toilet. Oh my God, always a good time with you guys. All right, small time. Hello. What are you doing in there, Stig? Reading Conan. Sure.
Well, I actually was. I read video game manuals too. They had a lot of lore in them.
Yeah. Better not be reading in there, Stig's parent. Bring it in. Yeah. And of course, we always kick this off in some kind of laughter, humor, or whatever. And that's
I was gonna say, please tell us you're not in the toilet right now, okay? That's the only thing we worry about right now.
Anything,
this is supposed to be Star Wars, not Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
And then Roger H. Canadian 199. I cannot see what the super sticker is. I don't have the thing in front of me. But thank you so much for the donation here, and thank you for coming in and enjoying the content and listening to our shenanigans before we get into the novel. And open airlock. Work 7 whenever, work out, shower, stream, or work on videos. Oh, and this thing called dealing with family. I get it. That's why I'm very slow on getting these friggin' lore videos that I want to do out. It's a balance. It's a struggle, so I get it. Soul Assassin. Stig review books by the number of flushes he makes. Laugh out loud.
And since I'm heterosexual, that would make it a straight flush.
Oh
my God.
Wow. That was a good one, sir. Good one indeed. In fact, there you go. Guys in there. No electronics in there. That is really gross. All right. So let's get into the novel now. Let's get into that.
I'm sorry. My mind went somewhere else, sir.
I actually once I watched Tim's stream from the bathroom, a little bit of it anyway. So it's like Tim was in my lap while I was sitting on the toilet.
Oh, that was too much for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's very graphic in my mind. Now I can't wipe it out of my mind. Thank you so much.
You can't wipe it out, poor choice of words.
Oh my gosh.
She's on a roll.
It's just going deep down into the sound. He's on now.
It was the spacing, if you must know.
Something you spaced him? Stig, that's cruel.
Okay. Oh my God, my face is all red from laughing. I'm like crying. Stig, you broke me a little bit here. Okay. Okay, so we have Soul Assassin. I think that's kind of perfect right there. Look at that.
You know what? When Tim is doing the stream later today, I'm gonna send a message to his chat and say, "Hey, guess where I'm sending this from?"
Mm-hmm. Oh no.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't have you on his stream, because then we'd hear a flush, right? Is that where this is going? Okay.
No, he's not a guest on there. So I'm gonna have to do something with the flush for this friggin' thing for Stig now. I'll design something maybe on Coffee Chat in 2 weeks. I'll have something funny with that.
Sounds like a draining experience.
Oh yeah, sure is. All right, and let's see here. Let's go back to the chat.
It's like on your stream, Laura, where you finally get to see that they do have restrooms in space.
Oh yeah,
because you never see. It's like, do these people ever go to the bathroom?
Oh yeah, no, they have the refresher. Yeah.
They have a whole planet reserved for it. It's called Uranus.
Oh Lord. Okay, here we go. See?
Really? That's cool.
Okay, so let's get back into the galaxy far, far away, okay? Not in ours. All right, so small time. You're supposed to stream in the toilet, not on the toilet. Oh. In Stig's bathroom reviews, if the pins don't get you, the smell wins. Or he probably means the puns. Yeah, correction. The puns don't get you.
The smell. My bathroom smells like a flowery meadow.
Yeah, and if you streamed in the toilet, there'd be so much reverberation, it would be unreal. So
okay.
Well, to be honest, though, if you look at a lot of YouTubers, all of their shit comes out of their mouths anyway. So maybe it would be an improvement.
Oh. Okay. All right. So Tim says he will have a sound effect ready. And then Soul Assassin, do it, Tim. Do it. And then Lily, what is your classical literature book? We are not on it yet. We're trying to get talk here.
Laura and Tauriel derailed the whole thing.
Goes into lurker mode. All right.
It's a very interesting book called Toilet Humor. Okay.
Yeah. Where the puns float.
Oh, good one.
There you go.
where no joke is dry.
We need to get out of this area now. We need to get out of that. Okay, Vertical Horizons. I think this is entertaining everybody, but still. All right, so Vertical Horizons, that's a dark side planet. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's talking about Uranus.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and switch gears here. And thank you, everybody, for putting up with our toiletry talk. And I hope that it gave you guys a good laugh this afternoon. It's like kind of too early in the day for that, but at least it's fun humor, okay? But when is a good time anyways for that kind of talk, right?
I guess in the mornings.
In the mornings?
Oh my gosh.
Your first trip to the refresher, right? All right. So, Stig, what have you reading this book and knowing, Revenge of the Sith, and knowing that the PT is basically the world building is the foundation of the world building, consists of, expanded universe as well. What have you noticed that is used from Labyrinth of Evil into Revenge of the Sith, and maybe a little bit other areas that are comics surrounding this time frame?
Why do I have to answer 5 questions at once? I'm already confused.
Do it. Well, okay, so what I'll simplify this for you since it's too complicated with your simple toilet humor self. Okay, so what have you noticed what have you noticed that's used in from the book and the EU into Revenge of the Sith that complements this book to Revenge of the Sith?
Well, you have the ending ties right into Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
The Cato and Nemodia stuff is referenced in the book, and Revenge of the Sith also references the Quinlan Voss's trip to Seleucumai, and that he goes to Boss Pity afterwards.
Yes.
So They even referenced the comics. Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. And you shared something on Twitter. So this still kind of ties in with what we're talking with right now. You shared something on Twitter, last night was it? Or yesterday? About Asajj Ventress and the Obsession novel and her fate in the last novel, or the last comic, right?
Yeah. Leland Shee had made a comment about the comic number 5 in the Obsession series, which is the last we see of Ventress. Mm-hmm. And he said, due to the Clone Wars animated series, that comic is no longer to be considered. Well, no, he said everything that has to do with Ventress in that comic, which was Obsession number 5, was to be considered non-canon.
Okay.
So he specified that comic was to be considered non-canon.
Yeah,
which means all the other comics must have been canon then.
Exactly. And that's the point that I wanted to bring up, is that if one thing is saying, like, one little tiny storyline, like her fate, whether she dies or not, is now considered non-canon, that means all the material around it is canon. And I do have this bit here. So basically it says Asajj Ventress, not included in the final story, was at one point slated to die in the novel Labyrinth of Evil as means of tying her up her fate, though that story would ultimately be told elsewhere.
Yeah, and that stupid Clone Wars crap, and then followed by a book.
Yeah.
But
isn't that book a Disney book anyway, so that doesn't count?
Yeah, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
And Disney fans doesn't even know it exists. I see it all the time. Oh, we need to have Ventress show up in the Bad Batch. I'm like, she's dead.
Mm-hmm.
In Disney canon.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I get why she wasn't in this book, because it would have been one villain too many.
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on in this.
It would have been a bit crowded.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they would have had her in there for a couple of chapters, and then there would have been a fight, right?
Yeah.
Just to make room for Grievous, and Dooku's in it too.
Mm-hmm.
So and Sidious. So 4 major villain, that's a bit much, And there's this thing about writing that which Disney failed to do actually quite a bit. It's like a writing rule.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, if a character doesn't contribute to the story in a measurable way, the character shouldn't be there, because that character is taking the spotlight and screen time away from the characters that do contribute.
Yeah.
So you can come up with a brilliantly entertaining character, right? And put him in a story, but if it doesn't contribute to the plot at all, it's just taking up space.
Yeah.
So put the character aside and use the character in another story instead.
Yeah, and I get too why they didn't add her in there, is because every person that's in this novel is basically they have to do something with Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
And she's not in Revenge of the Sith.
No, she's not. There was talk about a female Sith though, for Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. Early on in the production, and that was Ventress, because I saw the concept art, but she wasn't used. They were going to use an Asian actress actually.
Ooh.
Yeah. So and side note, Ventress's original name when she was created was Juno Eclipse.
That's right.
Yeah, but they went with Ventress instead because it sounds more intimidating, and they used Juno Eclipse for the Force Unleashed story instead.
Yep, exactly. So there you go, Tauriel. You're learning a little bit more there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you two talk, because I need to fetch something to drink.
All right. And so I brought that up, and I'll just read off some of the things that I took notes. And I didn't write down everything I've been exploring, and that ties in from the novel, even the surrounding comics, into Revenge of the Sith. But I think it's very important to note that the EU basically was a great foundation, world building foundation for the PT, including especially Revenge of the Sith. And Grievous's ship, the invisible hand, is basically, it first was seen in Labyrinth of Evil, the novel here. And then Buzz Droids basically came from the Obsession 2 comic. There was concept art back in 2002 by, but it was supposed to be in the Revenge of the Sith game as well. And it was put aside and then used for the novels. And when you look at a lot of the stuff like that, we see that the authors get it to work with, like with all the Western Games source material, and even what they have in the at the headquarters, I guess you can say, at the time, they had a lot of stuff and a lot of lore and concept ideas to use for the novels that kept everything coherent.
That's cool.
It is really, really cool. And go ahead.
What I noticed a lot, and it's like the banter that they carried over between Obi-Wan and Anakin, that you never knew it was there, but they would reference other things, and it makes you wonder and makes you want to read. It's like, well, how did they come to this relationship? That Obi-Wan, made the promise to train Anakin, but it was more like a father-son. And you can also see the shades of Darth Vader showing up, because at that stage in Anakin's life, like all adolescents, shall we say, they know more than their father, or what the heck is he trying to tell me? I can do it better, or I know everything. Yeah. And you can see the shades of that starting to show up.
Oh, yeah. This is what's going on with Anakin. Like, this book is basically when we start seeing glimpses of it. Well, we have seen it in the comics and the obsession and stuff, but you really see a lot of more darkness in Anakin in this book.
Yeah, that's what I noticed about it, because it was and also with Palpatine, how he manipulates people into positions that he wants, so his hands are not dirty, because he doesn't want anybody to know that he is the Sith. And it also stems back from if you go into Plagueis and how he became what he became. Yeah. Because I loved Plagueis. That's probably one of my favorite books. And then, but it's interesting to see how he manipulates people into thinking it's their doing.
Yeah, it is. It's a Palpatine, and I state this all the time, especially now that Disney makes the Jedi look more like the bad guys than the actual Sith. And that's what I've noticed. That's a thing with Disney Star Wars when it comes to the Jedi lore now, is the Jedis were the bad guys. And it was the Jedi's fault for Anakin turning to Darth Vader. They created him, which is not fact. So Palpatine.
No, I would say it was more youth and love.
Youth, love, that greed, attachment, and also the psychological manipulation that Palpatine used on Anakin's mind because of all that. That's what made him fall. When he started manipulating him to saying, well, you're better than the rest of the Jedi, you're more powerful, and so they're jealous of you. That is psychological manipulation right there.
Yeah, and also I can see why, even though I haven't read it, I've listened to you guys talk about it a lot. I can see why Luke said that the Jedis need to go another way, because the lack of attachment did influence their fall.
Yeah.
That's also why they the old Jedi couldn't have email addresses, because they're not allowed to have attachments.
He's all down my back, and here's my little joke.
Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, and I think I shared the clip, and you might have heard it or not, and I can reshare it again. But it's from Legacy of the Force Fury. I believe it's Fury. Basically, Luke Skywalker, and we're like, I'm trying not to stray from this novel, but it kind of goes into what we're talking about anyways. Luke Skywalker's, basically starts going inward, and he wants to basically turn the Jedi Order to someone else because he's still attached to the sense of losing Mara Jade. And then his son Ben Skywalker basically tells him, that Mara, his mom, would not want Luke, his father, to be that attached like that. And he basically snaps him, tells him what attachment is, basically kicks him out of it with his words and how he talks to him. And then finally, Luke's like, you're right, blah, 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 and stuff like that. So it's a very good clip. It's a very good read in the novel. But it gives you more perspective of what attachment really was supposed to be versus, and it's not necessarily being married and all that. It's about the possession of the person. Marriage is not possession of the person.
No.
Yeah. So it's a very good
possession of the person is kind of like what pimps do.
Yeah.
Which is
oh my God.
Hence the term.
Oh my God.
Hence the term pimperials.
All right, and so another one here, of course, is very obvious. It's Cato Nemoidia, the planet, and that was first seen or read. Our first appearance is Labyrinth of Evil, and then Utapau, basically, even though it says its first appearance is in Labyrinth of Evil, Utapau was also our idea for what now is called Tatooine. So there's like a little, and so this concept of Utapau and all this stuff, what came back, and even concept drawing art and stuff came back, was all the way back from 1976. So there's a little interesting tidbit there.
Yeah, actually, I spotted another one, and I think it was Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Yeah.
They were talking about Endorian ale.
Oh.
Oh.
Like
so that's where Endor came from.
Okay.
But,
okay, I have a question for you two, which it does pertain to this book, but it's a thread throughout. Obi-Wan is considered pretty much the ideal Jedi, along with Qui-Gon and,
well, thank you.
bunch of... Okay, watch out. We're going to go to toilet humor again if you're not careful.
I think we already made that already.
But he's always telling Anakin, be careful what you think, be careful what you do, attachments. But didn't he have an attachment to Anakin?
Oh, Obi-Wan? And that's the thing. You had a good question. A good point there.
Obi-Wan and Padme, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent point.
Mm-hmm. And that's where the thing goes with attachment. Attachment is not possession, or it doesn't necessarily mean possession. Like they have a relationship and they were close and stuff, right? So as we see the lore going on all the way to the Return of the Jedi post that, we start learning more or less about the concept of attachment when it comes to the Jedi, because Luke's creating the new Jedi Order. And so I think I can sum it up here is the fact that the old Jedi Order seen attachment in a whole different light. And I think they were wrong about that, because we can say that Obi-Wan had attachment to Anakin and Padme, but see, that attachment didn't turn him dark because it was a healthy one.
Well, I noticed a little bit. Well, I might be wrong, but if you consider the Jedi Order to be the church in Star Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then back in our world, right, 200 years ago, they treated marriage way differently.
Yeah.
Than it does now, and so it's almost like the same progression through the Jedi Order up until Luke becomes the master.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes more, progressive, really.
Yeah,
that's true. What I also noticed was when Yoda was talking to Anakin about his dreams and stuff, I mean, I know it's not in this book, but don't you think that had a profound result with him? Because he was telling him, you know, you'll honor it, but Anakin doesn't get that. It's like, no, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like honoring people's deaths, like if they must go, it's like the will of the Force, and you must honor and celebrate for their exchange of life and going to the Force, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and I really think that was the turning point for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then he was lying. He wouldn't tell the full truth to Yoda anyways, you know, and he didn't want to. And that was his attachment. That's the fault. He was possessing Padme, and that's why he was looking for ways to have her not die. And I watched, when I was doing my notes and stuff, I had Revenge of the Sith on one more time, listening to it. And when we get to this thing about what attachment and his dream about Padme dying in childbirth, when you really look at the scene of his vision of her dying in childbirth, it's her on that bed at Pola Masa. He's really seeing the results of what he did with his attachment and trying to possess her, you know, or keep her. Turning dark. He's seeing that vision,
which is what Yoda talks about in Episode 5.
Mm-hmm.
Because Luke is having the same visions of Han and Leia.
Yeah.
And Yoda is trying to explain, you know, that's like a possible future.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you honor them, you will let them die if you honor them. And I'm sorry, Yoda's a different species than a human. And I think that's what the difference is, because humans view that different because their emotions do play into every decision they make.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I think it's kind of like explored in the EU about the alien thought process is different in than humans, and that's rightfully so, because we all are, you know, sentient, intelligent beings. I say we as if I'm in the universe, but you know what I mean.
You are.
And so,
I hope you're in a universal, Laura. I mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah. And so it would make sense for alien species to see things in a different perspective than humans versus humans with aliens and stuff like that, because, you know, their brains and stuff are wired per their culture, per their environment, all of that. And, you know, we're just getting into like these little specks of this now. But one thing I wanted to share here, since we're talking about Yoda, is his quote in Labyrinth of Evil. A labyrinth of evil this war has become. But protect ourselves we must. Safeguard the traditions the Jedi have upheld for 1,000 generations. So I thought that was
I think that's wrong there too, because they're relying too much on the past. And yes, tradition has its place, but the council is also not there to see what's going on in reality right then.
Yeah.
And that ties into Empire Strikes Back too. He's talking to Luke and says, you know, you're always looking to the future and never looking at where you're right now. Which I guess Yoda learned from the Clone Wars.
Yeah, and then I was going to add on to that, like Revenge of the Sith novelization. We don't get this in the movie, and I wish it was there, but it's chapter, I think, 21 of Revenge of the Sith, or the very last one, called New Jedi Order. And he realizes that it was his fault because, you know, he's the oldest living master, Jedi in the temple, you know. And so he realized that he did a huge mistake. He realized that the Sith, while they were hiding during the 1,000 years that they were in hiding, basically, they were learning to evolve, and they were studying the Jedi while he was teaching and helped training these generations of Jedi. And they were just teaching them on the traditional, or the Jedi that are the same concept that they've been teaching them the 1,000 years. And he realized he failed to evolve them. And then he realizes now we have a new hope, and it's Luke Skywalker. And with him, the new Jedi Order will come. And that just gives me chills. That's a great evolution of the story.
Yeah, because they became very complacent because they thought everything worked. Yeah. And with each generation, it might work, but you also had to add on to it because every generation evolves and learns, hopefully, from the past mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and basically, the knowledge of the previous generation is the foundation for the next generation to build on. I get a quote.
Woo! Okay, people, we need to have this on Twitter now. No, he's taking the high ground here with this quote.
Yes. The next generation needs to learn. Okay.
Exactly. And then
if they don't want to learn, you beat them.
And then probably submit. Oh my God! And so
bunch of punks with their cell phones and PlayStations. You know.
Okay, I'll give you one more. I'll give you one more toilet humor. You give them a swirly if they don't want to learn.
Oh, just dump that right in there, huh? Wow, there we go. We can't escape from this toilet humor whatsoever, can we, today?
No. But I find
you know what the young punks would say to that, though?
What?
Oh my God!
You had to do that.
Oh my God!
Oh goodness. All right. So, anyways, back to the first appearances. Stig already noted Boz Pity, which was in Obsession 3. And so there's a lot of great tie-ins and stuff like that. So let's go ahead. We already talked about, or we mentioned Cato Nemoidia, and I asked her about what she thought about the Beatles when they were there on planet and stuff.
Just a little side note, though. Would you both agree that the best part of this book was Palpatine's interactions with Yoda?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was rubbing it in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Literally rubbing it in just about.
He knows how to dial stuff in. He's very, very observant. The man will hit you right in your feels. And then all you want to do is strike back, or you agree, one or the other. It's very interesting how his mind manipulates other minds. And what got me thinking, okay, does he know how to use that, or is he using the Force plus his own way of thinking to get what he wants? And maybe I wondered about that.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of both, but he is a politician. He is a tactical mastermind because he did, in fact, create both sides of the war. So he's got all his chips on the table, and he's strategically placing them where they need to be.
And to me, this book is very relevant for now.
Yeah, it's timeless, right? You can adhere this to any type, any eras in our society, and it still can be relevant. And that's what George was beautiful about with his lore, and even mentoring it with the authors. And in fact, I will go ahead and put this out there right now while I'm bringing it up. Okay, so when author Matthew Stover visited Skywalker Ranch to interview George Lucas, so basically, and I do have a clip about that as well that I share all the time. He met with George Lucas for hours, and they went over the lore and Revenge of the Sith and what have you. But when he went to meet with George Lucas regarding Episode 3 novelization, he also took with him questions prepared by James Luceno for Labyrinth of Evil. So not only did he work with him on the novel, he also took a fellow authors that couldn't be there with him, his questions regarding Labyrinth of Evil, since it's going to be the prequel to the novel and the movie. And so he got great feedback from George for this novel as well.
I think it's interesting because when I kept reading it, I kept seeing things that are relevant today, like Palpatine. He essentially starts cutting Anakin off from Obi-Wan, making him doubt stuff. And that's basically what was happening with us for a year and a half. Think about what was going on. No, I'm serious. Without without the internet and us being able to communicate among ourselves, you were basically shut off.
Yeah.
And it's very relevant because isolation does strange things to people. And he's making Anakin doubt, and then Yoda's not helping, and then Obi-Wan, he feels, isn't giving him the breaks he needs. Yes, there are some times when he's to the point where he's between a child man, okay?
Yeah.
And in that stage, if you don't perpetuate the man, he looks at it like he's being treated as a child. And I found that very interesting because one phrase spoken wrong, or in Palpatine's case, used right, can make the difference of the path you will be on.
Yeah. Yep. And then another thing I was going to say is like with this development between the novel and the movies and all of that and the lore and how well this was really done and stuff like that. We see, like, again, we see Anakin as he was very torn between the Jedi and Palpatine and what is right or wrong and his own feelings. And so this is like, this leads into it. And I think it was really, really well done. And very, very more so than, I'm just going to go there right now, the Clone Wars. That now in Disney lore does tie into Revenge of the Sith, which I think was a big mistake, but that's just me. That's just me. Yeah. And then, so we know that, on Cato Nemoidia, basically Newt Gunray and his underlings scatter. We do know that Palpatine is looking for Newt Gunray's, was it Newt Gunray that he was looking for? He's the one that scattered, or was it his partner? I forgot. I didn't write that down.
Well, they started chasing Newt Gunray, or at least, and then his chair.
Yeah,
his chair, basically.
And then we were getting into the chair now. So what do you guys think about the chair? Because particularly the Meccano chair that conceals a holographic communicator built into it for the contact with the Sith Lord Darth Sidious. So they get a hold of that chair. What do you think about that little? I don't know if you would consider it a MacGuffin or what.
I thought it'd make perfect sense because he uses that chair for that very purpose in the movies.
Yeah.
So the fact that it would store something, I thought that was very plausible.
Yeah. And actually, I thought it made R2 all the more relevant because R2 was connected, and then he was trying to hang on to the chair plus download what was ever in the chair. And
all kinds of shit.
I was laughing my butt off when I got to that part. It was like, no, look, and it's like, oh, R2's hanging on for dear life and still trying to download out of this chair.
Yeah.
And but it also made you see the relevance of how much R2 plays an intricate part in all these books. Because C-3PO, he's there for, I don't know. He's there for comical relief. I don't know. I mean, R2 is comical too. But in a lot of situations, their butt would not have been saved without R2.
Oh, yeah. R2 is like this little savior droid. And that even goes well. And so once you get post Return of the Jedi with your reading, Lady Tauriel, you will have some fine moments too with R2 in that. So, yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I read too much in the little things. Ask Stig when we get to like Game of Thrones. It was like I pick up on all the tiny little things.
That's okay. I love it. That's what I see. I do that too.
Yeah, you're reading it correctly then.
Yeah. And R2 and even C3PO, basically, they're the ones who are the observers of the Skywalker family. They're the ones basically, essentially, in somewhat of a way, telling the story.
Well, basically, it's, the classic butler and the bodyguard almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That serves the family.
Yeah, now C3PO had his memory wiped, but R2 never did. Yeah. So he carries all the information from the Skywalkers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and that later on in the books, they do something about that. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to spoil it though, because you haven't read it yet.
Yeah,
but I think you're going to love it.
Yeah, you're going to love the pleasant surprise about what goes on. So
it happens in the Dark Nest, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Dark Nest trilogy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
I just pick up on little things like that because it's like amazing to me, and it's like amazing to me to see why Palpatine became who Palpatine was, what influenced him, to see the minor little changes of what Yoda said to Anakin that sent him on the dark path, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Palpatine helped because he was a manipulator, but basically it was Yoda talking to him about don't regret, don't do this, don't do that, and it forced him into Palpatine's arms, basically.
That's an interesting concept because I didn't look at it that way. I looked at it more or less like Anakin not wanting as a teenager to listen, because it's hard to let go of someone when they're dying, right? It's hard to see someone you love pass away or imagine that that's going to happen. And because he wasn't truthful to Yoda, that, of course, and then I see your point too, and now it makes a little bit more sense. He wants to go to someone that's going to go ahead and rectify and his thought process, and that's what Palpatine does, and that's the brilliant manipulation of Palpatine.
Yeah, but it even started when Anakin was first brought in front of Yoda, when Qui-Gon, because if you watch the movie and you put it together with the books, if you look at what Yoda said to him, he did not like Yoda from the start. If you watch that, because it was like, no, we will not train him. Well, as a child and someone tells you no, what do you automatically think of that person?
Yeah, you're going to have some kind of resentfulness on that. And then this is going to go ahead and tie in with Revenge of the Sith. So I'm trying not to go too far astray from the novel Labyrinth.
I'm sorry, but
yeah, this is all relevant because this is the prequel to it. So you see glimpses of what we're talking about in this as well, just with attitudes, demeanor, and stuff.
I just put it together that way. So
yeah, and I love that. I love your thought process. And so this goes into Revenge of the Sith, where again in the New Jedi Order chapter, where he basically states that they were wrong in their methods of training the Jedi and stuff, and and then Obi-Wan's questioning him, well, what about their age? They're going to be too old, and he basically says we need to change that. That needs to change.
And see, that started way back with Anakin when Qui-Gon brought him there.
Yeah, so he went from the Phantom Menace, where he's like, you're too old to train, to all of this shit going on, and realize that the Jedi were wrong for staying stagnant and not evolving, and realizing that it shouldn't matter on the age when they train.
Yeah, see, so it all ties in, basically.
Yep.
And that's what I got from this book, going all the way back to the Phantom Menace, because he held a grudge against Yoda for the fact that he didn't want to be able to train him.
Yeah. And then, of course, and then, Yoda's finally atoning now, realizing, after this that they made a huge mistake. And sometimes it takes someone like the Chosen One to fail and go dark so the Jedi can realize their mistakes for the future generation to come up and correct the mistakes. So there's a philosophy right there, And later on, Anakin does play his role in the Chosen One and redeems, kills the Sith within himself and within Palpatine and helps redeem. And then from there, the new Jedi Order is birthed through his son.
Yeah, but it takes all those years and what's leading up to it. And I don't know, as I'm reading, I'm kind of tying in all this from what I've read before.
Yeah.
And what I've watched.
Yeah, and I'm enjoying this because you're fairly new to the EU, so I'm enjoying your journey because then I get to see it in another light through your eyes, and then it just makes my heart so happy. It makes me just, think about everything again and puts me into that geeky first time when I experienced it.
Yeah, because I ask a lot of questions in my mind when I read.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like, it's like, okay, this ties in with this. So did this have any influence?
Yeah.
On what led up to here.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to have a blast with the rest of the EU books.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, because there's tie-ins everywhere, even to the comics. And there's references, and you're going to catch a lot of them.
Well, that's like, I fell in love with the coffee chat. Sorry. We're going to get off topic here real quick, with Quinlan Voss.
Yeah.
And Lord Singh. No, he's hunky. Come on, let's face it. They're, ladies. Come on. But it's also interesting to see the journeys that all these people that they sent out to do their dirty work that they sometimes forget about and what they exactly sent them out to do. And how tempted they were all the time. It's like the modern day spies. It's like it's so easy once you're undercover to go to that dark place because you're in that dark place and you have to be convincing in that dark place. That it almost becomes second nature. And I find that very interesting in Star Wars. That's what I equate that when I read when I read that, when they send people out to do things. And it's like, well, why wouldn't you think that would happen to them?
Yeah.
Even though they were virtuous, being gone that long and immersing yourself in that side of the society in order to be that convinced, in order to be that convincing so you don't get killed and fulfill your mission.
Yeah. Yep. And then Soul Assassin says, Jedi Master Tauriel or Darth Tauriel. And then he puts this here, Darth Tauriel the elf.
Ooh, I'm a dark side elf. Ooh.
Yeah, you are. You're a dark side elf.
Well, you recently did buy the Dark Elf books.
That's true. I did.
Yeah. So let's go on now. Let's get back into Labyrinth of Evil. And so Obi-Wan and Anakin begin to, a planetary hop. So they discover, the chair and all that. And they, the quest of finding the clues engraved that is engraved on the chair as well. And they basically find it's like Zai Cherion, artisan of the Cherios 4, I think it was, and who directs the Jedi to the Miscarti to find the Bith who developed. So they're basically trying to figure out the origins of the chairs, who made it, to more understand it. And so what do you guys think about, this like planet hopping that Obi-Wan and Anakin's doing in search of? So what do you think about those bits?
Well, they're not doing it the way Disney does it. It doesn't take 2 seconds, and they can't jump within the planet's gravity well.
Yeah.
That actually, you know what? Revenge of the Sith is being contradicted by, Disney Lucasfilm doing the jumps within an atmosphere thing.
Yeah.
Because if they could do that, then Grievous would have escaped with Palpatine right away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he's basically held at bay above Coruscant when Revenge of the Sith starts, and he can't make the hyperspace jump because he's surrounded. They're blocking the hyperspace lane.
Yeah.
Or rather, the jump point.
Yeah.
So if hyperspace works the way it does in The Mandalorian, The Clone Wars, Rebels, and the sequel trilogy, then Revenge of the Sith makes zero sense. The whole starting point is now destroyed because of that.
Yeah. Interesting. So what was you going to add, Lady?
We know Disney's full of bull anyway. They don't care. It's whatever trips your trigger at the time, okay? Yeah. I didn't say that, did I? Oh, my God, no.
I won't tell a soul.
I find it interesting about the relationship between Dooku and Grievous because he turned Grievous into what he was. Okay,
oh yeah, and that's been in the comic training and how he was made who he was.
Yeah, see, there I go with the little nitpicky stuff again that I pick up on. And it's like, in a way, I feel sorry for Dooku. Yeah. Because I understand where he's coming from, because he wants the Jedi to wake up and say, look, this is going on. The Sith are evolving. The Sith are real. And I'm trying to actually help you realize this, but you didn't, so I went this way. And then after he went to the dark side, which he didn't feel like he was ever the dark side, in my estimation, he was just trying to do what was right within his ethics, that Grievous actually never forgave him for doing to him what he did.
Yeah. And so since we're on the topic of Grievous, and that's coming up next in the little time frame I have here, we do have, the Republic intelligence agents cracks the Chair's encrypted interface. And basically they have a message of General Grievous describing the impeding attack on Balderon. And
I actually spotted a little plot hole in the book.
Okay, let's share.
Because Grievous faces Mace Windu.
Yeah.
And for the first time. Because he said he's been warned about Windu's fighting prowess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he fought Windu in the comic leading up to this.
That's right.
On Boss Pity.
Oh, yeah.
Because he threw Windu off a cliff. Dooku threw him off a cliff, I think. But Windu smashed Grievous a bit by dropping a rock on him. So they have fought. So that's a little inconsistency right there. And that door swings both ways. It's not just, it needs to be mentioned when the old Lucasfilm did it too, not just when Disney does it.
Yeah, it's and that's the thing too. It's like I will give praise where praise is due, whether it's on both either side, and it's the same that goes with the little plot hole things or the mistakes, the missteps that they take, right? And this also goes into Tartakovsky's The Clone Wars. Basically, the Tartakovsky built their animated climax around the novel plot, but departed from the details in the interest of telling a more explosive animated story. And so basically, this included a more drawn-out sequence of Coruscant under attack by the droid fighters, additional Jedi defending Chancellor Palpatine, Rowan Korob, and Fel Maldama, who are then inserted into the novel text. So basically, while this novel was getting done, they also had the Clone Wars, the Tartakovsky Clone Wars. And so there was a little bit, not much communication between the two. So last minute, they were trying to make sure everything ties in. And even in Tartakovsky's, we do have Mace Windu crushing Grievous's lungs as he's trying to escape. So there you go. So there's another one. there's another one. But then again, that's around 19 BBY, the same time the novel is taking place. So we have these tie in between the Tartakovskys, but not fluid enough, not very fluid, is what I'm trying to say. So we have that. So we have Grievous here. So how did you guys feel about Grievous in the novel here? Did you agree with how he was fleshed out in a sense that leads him up to Revenge of the Sith? And Tauriel, you can go ahead and go first.
Yeah, I did. See, I'm more into the motives behind what people do when I read. And
yes.
It's, I think a lot about what I'm reading and why they do what they do when they do it. And in this, it seems like more survival than anything else.
Yeah.
And we know that Grievous, no matter how tortured of a soul he was after what Dooku did to him, he's a survivor.
Yeah.
And he will think along those lines instead of like Dooku is more moral. He does more moral thinking than, and it's whatever it takes to get to the morals that he has. Grievous is just out and out survival mode.
Yeah. Yeah. And he, in a sense, he was brainwashed too. He was made into basically I wouldn't say he wasn't like manipulate like clones where they're, genetically altered to mind and stuff. But in a sense, that's how they built him and stuff. And, so Stig, what do you think about Grievous in this novel pertaining to Revenge of the Sith? Do you think it was a perfect tie-in with his character?
Yeah, it sets him up big time because he kills, 3 or 4 Jedi?
Yeah.
And he takes his sadistic pleasure in it too.
Yeah,
so
he does.
Grievous is a monster, and he takes out basically 4 Ahsokas.
Yes, 4 of them. And when we see him in Revenge of the Sith, when he's facing off with Obi-Wan Kenobi, those 4 lightsabers are probably the 4 Jedi he defeated here. If you think about it, I haven't done full research on that yet, but yeah.
Well,
I have a question.
It might be.
Okay. Go ahead.
I have a question for you. The sadistic pleasure when he kills Jedi, wasn't he like that before? So the main core of Grievous carried on even though he was more machine?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, from the comics, didn't the Jedi let him down in his homeworld down?
That's what I wondered, if part of the soul carries on through even though he's more machine than he is human.
Yeah, I think so because his brain remembers.
Sorry, I go that deep when I'm looking at
That's okay, I love
like
it.
that.
Yeah, go ahead, Stig.
So this novel was clearly canon because it's referenced all over the place in the movie.
Yeah.
And this and the movie also references comics, but and those comics are referenced in this book, so you can see the whole package. But I noticed something else. Who else shows up in this book?
Okay.
Isard.
Is it?
Yeah. Isard is in this book.
Is it her father?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. I remember that. I remember when I first read it, I was like, that's Isard.
Yeah, he's one of the villains from the X-Wing series.
Yeah.
He's in this as as a future Imperial because he's on Palpatine's side.
Yes.
So another tie-in.
Yeah. So it links into the future.
Yeah.
There you go.
And George signed off on this.
Exactly.
And followed it with the movie.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to get to this $1.99 super sticker from Larry. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. I am glad you're enjoying the show. And before we carry on, I'm just going to remind everybody that, and it's totally up to you, but it gives you a chance to win a copy of the Heart of the Jedi novel. But if you become a member, and today is your last chance, but if you become a member of my channel, you'll be entered to draw for a drawing to receive a copy of Heart of the Jedi. So if you missed out on the opportunity to purchase it, now is your chance. So there's a little incentive there, you know, no pressure, but it does support my channel if you become a member. And totally up to you, but you get a chance to win the Heart of the Jedi, and I'll show a picture of it right now. So here's our little commercial part. No,
can I say something real quick?
Go ahead. Yes,
you guys, if you don't subscribe, you're missing out on a whole lot of fun and a whole lot of knowledge. Mm-hmm. I've been a member ever since Allura could have members. And the coffee chats are amazing. You learn so much. You have a good time. All her videos give you interesting things to learn and look up. I became interested in the EU. Have a ton of money-wise, it's cost me a ton of stuff, but
and Stig, you have Stig today.
I take no responsibility.
Yes. There's a person that's male on this panel that shall remain nameless that convinces females that you really need to buy this book. You really need to get this book.
Oh, you know what though? You know nothing, because I got Teresa to buy an Xbox and I convinced her to quit her job. I'm not even kidding. She said that on the street.
Well, I would say that's drastic just because okay. Never mind, not going
it's
there.
For Jedi mind trick, sorry.
Quit using the power of the Sith and the Force to do this, Stig. That's all I will say.
It's for your own
good. And then on the other note on that, for the channel members that are current, I'm planning on having a special drawing for a copy of my Asajj Ventress, and this is classical Asajj Ventress, not the TCW one, for a copy of the I'm producing. So that will be announced after. More details will come after we have this drawing for the Heart of the Jedi.
But so all you guys, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. She's a wonderful lady. You learn tons of stuff. I give Stig a bad time, but it's wonderful to listen to the coffee chats, and her explanations on when she does videos are amazing, along with Open Airlock Tim. If you're not subscribed to Tim's channel, go. He just got his membership open. Go subscribe. I'm a member already.
Yes.
You will have a wonderful time. Stig is incognito. He shows up whenever he wants to. So
he just has that flair. He just has that thing about him, right?
He's the mysterious. He's a mysterious person that shows up everywhere, and but you will enjoy it. You will learn tons, like I have been learning, and hopefully, when I am not so tired from work, I will get some videos out and get my channel up and going again. But I have been so tired from work lately that,
it's understandable. And thank you so much, sweetheart. You're so amazing. Thank you for the support.
Oh,
and
I enjoy your
advertisements. Now, you know, she is coming on Talking EU on the 17th. So stay tuned. I already advertised that, and I'll send more information out about that. So we get to go a little bit more into the EU and her deep thought process and her love of continuity and connecting the lore. We'll get into that, and that really touches my heart because that's how I am too. So,
you know what though? A lot of the people in the chat are extremely knowledgeable too.
Yeah,
about the EU and Star Wars. I mean, Becky, and Soul Assassin. A lot of other people. They chime in all the time with accurate knowledge,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and the correct opinions about Disney.
I have an idea. Maybe on my channel on Saturday sometime we could get around and maybe have Becky on, Soul Assassin, you, Alora, Teresa when she's off vacation. That would be a fun chat. We'll get some of all these people that I always talk to in the chat, and we'll just have at her. We'll just have a round table about Star Wars EU.
Yeah, and talking EU, basically, I'm gonna, I want to interview a lot of people with their love of Star Wars, and we got them into the EU and their own personal take with it and stuff. So this is a new addition to my channel, that's a concept to my channel that's come to light. So eventually, I would love to have Soul Assassin and Becky, and
you should absolutely have Becky on. She knows a lot of stuff.
Yes, and so
and she stopped calling me a Swede too, so she learns.
That's why you're bragging about her so much now. She stopped calling you a Swede. But so that's the concept.
Maybe between the two of us, you could do individuals, and I could have a round table, since I just got called the Dark Lady of the EU.
Yes. Yeah, and then Becky right here states, Prestige or whatever is also in the book Before the Loyalists. Yeah, so we do see him. We do see his arc as well, and it's amazing how everything's interconnected. It's a history. Star Wars is basically history. It has its own timeline, and I think I pointed this out to Stig, or maybe it's Tim, or maybe both. I don't know. But I was basically saying that if the EU was not, or was in a different universe and not in the same universe as the movies, then it wouldn't be on the same timeline of history, right? Well, the EU is on the same timeline of history as the movies. That's, so that still says it's not necessarily parallel, that it is a part of the same historical timeline. People forget to, people don't realize that it's on the same
continuity.
Exactly. So now we're going to get into get more into the lore here, and we do have Sidious basically now is is advancing his plan to conquer the Republic and to corrupt Anakin to the dark side. And I think you guys remember when he was talking to Count Dooku about that, saying you must kill Obi-Wan. That's the key to help Anakin turn. And then go ahead and go after Anakin to subdue him, but don't kill him. Blah blah blah. He just tells him exactly what he needs to do, and he even tells them, and this is kind of very evil of him, if Anakin gets control over you and stuff, I'll make sure that it doesn't, or it ends in your favor. What did you guys think about that when he was, and that's foreshadowing how Dooku gets killed by Anakin? So what do you guys think about that? Go ahead, go Stig.
What?
He wasn't even listening. So okay. So when Sidious was talking about his advances on conquering the Republic to Dooku, and then also to corrupt Anakin to the dark side, and basically he told Dooku, kill Obi-Wan, that's the key, and take out, and subdue Anakin. But if he takes control over you, I'll make sure that it ends in your favor. What'd you think about that? It's foreshadowing.
Oh yeah, it's foreshadowing, and Dooku doesn't know that. Sparing Dooku of humiliation actually means a quick death, which we see in Revenge of the Sith. But it also shows that Dooku, when Kenobi and Anakin were fighting him, right? He makes quick work out of Kenobi. He dispatches him immediately, almost.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden he's kind of a worse fighter against Anakin, which is he's holding back. He's trying to turn Anakin. He's not trying to kill him. Which is I see a lot of people go, "Oh yeah, Anakin was so awesome. He defeated Dooku," but Dooku was trying to turn him. He wasn't trying to kill him.
Yeah, he was subduing him more than less trying to kill him, and that's the same concept people try with Vader and Luke. Some of them don't realize that Vader, he's impressed by Luke's very quick learning and skills with the saber, but he also was holding back to subdue him as well because they wanted him alive to turn.
Also, Vader is failing physically at the time. He's not in his prime, which is why Palpatine wants to replace him. Mm-hmm. But the thing about Dooku, though, he is the best duelist in the galaxy at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If someone fights him one-on-one, they're gonna die.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is very cool that they picked Christopher Lee, because he has the world record of most sword fights on screen.
Oh, yes. I didn't realize that.
Oh, yes.
If you want to cast the perfect duelist, you cast him. And he's also skilled at fighting with a rapier because he's been trained at it. He did the Musketeer movies from the 70s.
Yeah.
The fight scenes in that one, in those movies are fantastic because they're not they're not sped up. They're in real time and they go at it full force.
Nice.
And watch those, the Three Musketeers and the Four Musketeers from 73.
Yeah, exactly. Oh wow, that's
excellent movie.
Yeah, you get to see Christopher Lee's sword skills in it, big time.
Yeah, he is amazing. He's an amazing man. Amazing man. All right, and then so this is from the Sentinel. Who wins in a duel, Vader or versus Dooku?
Dooku.
Dooku. Yeah.
But it's Dooku. Yeah.
Vader's more of a savage, and he just uses his superior strength basically, and just bashes people down. But he's not quick. Dooku is a duelist, and Vader, after he lost his limbs, is a lot weaker in the Force.
Yeah, but he's still more powerful than Sidious.
Not after he's Vader, no.
No, yes, he is. He's more powerful. He's not very powerful, but he's still more powerful than Sidious, but not by much. That's why he is put in the type of suit and stuff that he's put in, so that he can't overtake Palpatine and stuff.
Yeah. But Palpatine would own Vader immediately.
In a sense, but because we could probably debate this.
Yeah, but in a full-out lightsaber fight, Dooku would win.
Oh yeah, Dooku has a lot more agility and a lot more training to fight it and stuff. And it's okay to be the chosen one and still not be the best.
Yeah, you still need training.
Yeah, I think people confuse that. They do. Yeah. So.
His emotions come in, and that gives you extra strength, but you also lose your head because all he sees is rage, whereas Dooku is a master duelist, and he stands back and lets you wear yourself out.
Yeah, he's more calculating. Yeah, I agree. So let's move on here. I know we've been kind of like having fun linking the lore and and all this stuff with this and Revenge of the Sith and all that. So Anakin and Obi-Wan search next takes them to Naos 3, where they find the pilot who had originally delivered a prototype Sith infiltrator vessel to Darth Maul. So this links back to the Phantom Menace. And she points the Jedi in the direction of the works. So basically, what the works is where we see Dooku have his hideout, right, and where sometimes Palpatine meets up with him. So they learn of that hideout, linking that as well. And basically, it's that derelict area of the decrepit factories, warehouses on Coruscant, and then Mace Windu, Shakti, which she's my favorite Togruta species or person.
Yeah, she is up there with Windu in terms of power.
Yes, exactly.
She would defeat Obi-Wan, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very underestimated.
Underestimated, underused.
Oh, and there was supposed to be a Shakti novel.
Yeah.
Set right before the Revenge of the Sith, and the novel was finished, but they never published it. So I'm hoping, the people who published Part of the Jedi might,
bring that out.
Yeah, and it was written by the guy who wrote the Kal Katarn trilogy.
Oh, it was written by I got it right
here. I think it's called Dietz.
Yeah, William Dietz.
Yeah, the novel was finished. It just didn't get released.
Yeah. Oh, what a shame. What a shame. It's interesting how
it had an awesome cover too, by the way.
We're gonna have to find that and share that on Twitter.
Yeah, I found it yesterday. I thought I did share it.
Oh, okay.
Well, I did share it in the group chat.
Oh, I'm gonna have to check it out because I missed it then. Yeah, so we're going into Windu, Shakti, and a team of Padawans and Republic inner intelligence agents scour the burned out district, finding an active landing platform connected to the Senate district, of course, via network tunnel. So they're discovering now, Dooku's lair and all that, in their investigation. And then, so what do you think about those little interesting bits with Shakti and Mace Windu in them in the novel?
I loved it. And it reminds me, I hate to say this, but in my mind, what I pictured was like, how they put a mouse in a maze?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To find the cheese. Yeah. That's what I pictured in my mind underground.
Exactly. And I think that's the point of this right here. And Obi-Wan's quote that I read earlier. It's like they're in this labyrinth of this maze in this labyrinth of evil, and that it could be their demise.
Mm-hmm.
Because
or one of the European hedge mazes. That's what it reminded me of when I read it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all the dead ends, and who's lurking behind the dead ends, and what are you going to find?
Yeah, exactly. And so Stig, I know you love Shakti and stuff as well. So, and I know you like Windu, and I'm glad that the comics have changed my mind. I know Windu I liked, but I really didn't care for. I guess you could say he was, But when I got to the comics, I started getting more respect for him as a character and stuff. And
yeah, I remember you saying that when we were going through the Clone Wars comics.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, and so what did you think about these little bits, these pieces with Shakti and Mace and stuff? And it kind of ties in a little bit, very loosely, with Tartakovsky's the Clone Wars, or Clone Wars and stuff. So what was your thoughts about Shakti and Mace and all them in their adventure in this book?
I thought it was great because the more we learn about all the Jedis that we see get killed during Order 66 and all that, the better, because you get more emotional impact.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually always wish there was one or two more main characters in the prequel trilogy, and that they were Jedi. Because that would have had more impact if they had died in the third act.
Yeah.
I guess Windu's in it a bit, but he's supporting at best. He gets a little bit to do at the end of episode 2, and then with the Palpatine stuff in 3. But other than that, he's kind of a blank slate, which is where the EU comes in to flesh him up.
Yeah.
But I always wished that they had more main characters.
That's my problem, because I'll ask Stig, or if I'm in the chat, and I'll ask you that there's a lot of Jedi that I'm interested in, that we're going through with the comics and stuff, and it's like, I'll ask, well, whatever happened to her or whatever happened to him? And it's like, well, they don't really say. And I like the supporting characters sometimes a lot more than I like the main characters. I find them more interesting. Yeah. And you want to know more about them, but there's nothing there to learn.
Yeah.
Because they didn't continue on, even just little tidbits about where they came from or what happened.
Mm-hmm. The only ones that, well, if you go by the novels, the one who gets the most screen time, I think, of the supporting ones is probably Barriss, because she has 2 novels, and she's also heavily in the Approaching Storm novel, which is the prequel to Episode 2. Mm-hmm. So you get a bit of Barriss, and you also get her death scene in the Revenge of the Sith novel, I think.
Okay,
if I remember correctly.
Okay, now don't get mad at me when I say this, because I don't remember her name. So we're going to do show and tell here, folks. Who is the Jedi that has the 3 lightsabers that hover around her?
The 3 lightsabers that hover around her?
Uh-huh.
Where?
What?
She's a master Jedi.
Okay. Is she sitting in meditation? And what does she look like? Because I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure.
I've only seen her robed, cloaked.
Mm-hmm.
And when she uses her powers, she has 3 purple lightsabers going around her. She doesn't have them in hand.
Is it Depa Bilaba?
Maybe. I don't know.
She's in the comics a bit when Quinlan Voss, I think it was, goes to Nar Shaddaa, and they find that hut that had.
I know who it is. It is Treyas, are basically she's from Old Republic.
See, there's a lot of Master Jedis that they never did really flesh out, because maybe they did in the games, but I haven't played any of the games. I'm just reading the books right now.
Yeah. Let me share real quick. Not to get sidetracked or anything, you guys. Sorry. But yeah, I will share right now. So here you go. There she is. Is this her?
Yep, that's her.
Yeah, that's Darth Treya from the second KOTOR game. A superb character. She's up, in my opinion, she's kind of up there with Palpatine a bit.
She fascinates me because it's the use of the Force, and she's a Master Jedi, but yet, okay, if she's a Master Jedi, how come we don't know more about her?
Yeah, she's a game character. I'm not sure if she's in the Old Republic novels much, though. She's actually not in the comics. She's not in the comics at all, which I thought was weird, because they're like prequels to the game.
Yeah.
But
sorry, while I have you captive, I'm going to ask questions. So
that's okay. Yeah. That's okay, and I can't wait till we have our talking EU session. Fun. So, between now and then, think of any questions, anything you want to talk about, what have you. All right, so let's move on here. So now we are basically, we have Mace Windu and his team going off, discovering the labyrinth underneath that links to the Senate district and blah, 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 blah. And, finding and discovering stuff down there. And then we have, dun, 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 the Separatist fleet of warships attack on the capital. So now the attack of Coruscant begins. The siege of Coruscant begins.
I love the dun. I love the dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Yes, exactly. We're getting into what this book is all about, what's going on, and what's being tied in with the lore with Revenge of the Sith, making not saying that the movies aren't irrelevant, because they stand great on their own as a trilogy, but this just puts a whole nother level of understanding of lore, of adventure, and all this into the movie. And again, like I said, and I had a debate on Twitter with someone that, when you look at the PT, including and more so Revenge of the Sith, since this is the prequel to it, that the EU is an awesome world building for that foundation. We see it in there. We see the world building from EU, and it makes it solid, and it establishes the EU as part of the continuity and stuff. And so even with the Clone Wars, Tartakovsky Clone Wars, we have that leading up as well. And it's phenomenal. So what did you think about that? When now we're having the Siege of Coruscant, Anakin and Obi-Wan are off on their mission, on their little chase that they're doing. And then he gets the call from Palpatine. And we know that in the novel, Palpatine and him talking, and how much Palpatine's manipulating him and stuff like that. And, Anakin says, whenever you need help, just call me. And so now he calls him, and now they rush off to Coruscant. So what did you guys feel about that? So, Lady, I'll let you go first.
Okay. I thought that was a very dick move. What should I say about that? It was so wrong. There's parts that I hate the manipulation that Palpatine does. Because he knows it will cause something else to happen, and he does it just because.
Yeah, it's further manipulation of Anakin,
and that's why I said what I said. It's like, it's total manipulation, and poor Obi-Wan is caught in the middle, and yet sometimes I wonder if Obi-Wan is not blindsided for his trust, his loyalty to Anakin. And he doesn't know that Anakin is going that way and what Palpatine is saying to him. So my heart goes out to Obi-Wan. I think Palpatine's a dick. And Anakin is just being used to further Palpatine's initial goal.
Exactly. And he wants the most strongest Jedi or Force user out there for that, and that's Anakin. So he the Jedi, the galaxy are all victims of Palpatine's demise, right? And sorry,
that's just the way I saw the end of this, getting towards the end of this. It was like, what a pain in my butt, it's like, oh my God.
It does solidify a lot, though, when you get into Revenge of the Sith. So people, after you're done here, if you have a chance, pop on Revenge of the Sith. If you haven't fully read the novel, get into that novel, then pop on Revenge of the Sith. You're going to enjoy it. Stig Kenobi.
Revenge of the Sith, the novel, is actually better than the movie.
It is. There's a lot more detail.
It's one of my favorite movies, but the book is actually better. You'd never think it would be, but it is.
Yeah. It's I like the novel better than the movie too, but I love the movie. The movie's Revenge of the Sith is my second favorite in the 6 movies. My first is Return of the Jedi. But that's just me. All right, so Stig, what do you think about that? Them rushing off to save Palpatine, that little scene there.
Well, it sets up the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Because that one starts with them rushing in to get Grievous, who hasn't jumped into hyperspace because the hyperspace lanes are blocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. That's right. They're following the rules established in the world building, right?
Yeah. Which, yeah, the Mandalorian's fantastic. It has 2 minutes of Luke, yeah, but it also makes episode 1, 3, 4, and 5 make no sense because of the stupid lore-breaking crap.
Yeah. And what do you think about, and this goes back to the laziness of Filoni and the laziness of keeping up with rules and continuity, when Filoni basically comes out and says, oh yeah, well, George said keeping continuity is for wimps. I think that was a joke of George that he is now using to rectify his mistakes.
I don't even think George said it, because if you watch the the bonus material on the prequel trilogy, George is obsessive about the continuity.
Yeah. Whoop, we lost her. Oh
no. Yeah, so
goes off into the Force.
Every damn time Filoni's, gets a little bit cornered on the lore, he immediately uses George as a shield. It's like clockwork. It's like every time someone asks him a critical question, he's like, yeah, but I've spoken to George.
Yeah. He's doing the appealing to authority fallacy, basically.
Yeah.
To justify his mistakes.
Yeah.
And I see past that, and I hope other people are now finally seeing past that. Riff Magos at Australian 5, Aussie 5, at OG Star Wars. I read your comics on Rhino's Bad Batch video. I just want to say you're a legend. Well, I only share the truth, and this person was being an idiot. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, thank you so much for the 5.
Interesting that those same people were whining about the cloning and how it was portrayed in episode 9.
Yeah.
Yet when it's portrayed exactly, exactly as stupid.
Yeah.
On the Mandalorian, it's probably okay. It's just okay. But it was bad when it was done in the sequel trilogy.
Oh God.
Yeah. Just take a stance and stick with it.
Exactly. And you did tweet about that. That was great. Welcome back, darling. I said you went into the Netherlands of the Force.
Yes. I would take care of stuff up in the Merle there for a minute. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. You're a little bit robotic, so adjust yourself. I don't know how you were sitting last time, so to keep your voice crisp
now.
Kind of.
Are we good?
You're getting there. You just gotta test baby.
Okay, how about now?
Awesome.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
So now let's get to General Grievous. He kidnaps the Supreme Chancellor, escaping from the Jedi to return to his well-armed flagship, the Invisible Hand. And guess what? The Invisible Hand, his flagship, was basically first seen in this novel. So there you go. And is then used in Revenge of the Sith. So basically, Obi-Wan and Anakin, who have been occupied with pursuing Count Dooku, basically their mission and what have you that we're just talking about, they rush back to, save Palpatine. So that's the main thing. So with the kidnapping of Palpatine with Grievous and stuff, how did you think about that scenario in the book? Lady Tauriel, I'll get you just in case if you accidentally fall out again, at least you have it's in.
Well, at least it's the first time. Hey, I've been doing better this time. It's very, very good, but it is so manipulative that I just want to smack Palpatine right across the face. Okay. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel. It's just like sometimes you want to grab hold of the book and going, what the hell are you thinking? Yeah. It's amazing to me how well he plays off of everybody's fears and the chess moves he makes in order to get what he wants further down the line. It's not just the right now. he's thinking 3 or 4 or 5 moves ahead.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what he did with what is it, the Spacing Guild? You know, he has everybody convinced that he will protect them.
Oh yeah.
No matter what. Dooku, Spacing Guild, Grievous, and then when it gets to the point where you're of no use to him anymore,
yeah,
he has no feelings. There is no feelings there. It's a means to an end.
Yeah. Did you get the sense that General Grievous didn't know that Palpatine is Sidious?
Yeah, I don't think he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he knows either. They're too trusting in order to know that. And the Spacing Guild likewise. That they don't know that's one and the same person.
I don't think Dooku knows either, because that's the sense I got in this and Revenge of the Sith.
And
I could be wrong.
But I think that's true also, because you don't know that until Anakin is faced with the problem that he should take him in, but he doesn't want to, and then, you know, that famous line, do it.
Yeah, and that's when Dooku realizes, shit, I've been tricked.
Exactly. The confusion on his face is like, oh shit.
Yeah, and he realizes. He also realizes, crap, this is you know, Palpatine and Sidious.
Yes, exactly.
Sidious voice.
Yeah, he's hidden himself very well. He learned very well from Plagueis. And if you people have not read Plagueis, read it, because you will see everything that formed Palpatine as he is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
sorry.
Yeah. Remember in Genndy Clone Wars, he says to Palpatine, "You're lucky they want you alive." It's confirmed that he doesn't know, only Dooku does.
Yeah, and see, that's the scary part about all these that I'm reading, that all these people, it's kind of like Superman. Put on the glasses, you don't know he's Superman. It's Clark Kent. It's like pull the wool over their eyes, I'm Palpatine. It's interesting to see that none of these people put that together, because his cloak, plus I think he's using the Force to fog his perception.
Yeah.
And that is never brought up. And that's the one thing that I keep going back to. It's like, is he using the Force to cloak their perception of them not finding out who he is in reality?
Oh, and there's
I've always wondered about that. Because it's never stated in any of the books I've read so far.
There's a little misconception, though, about the, you know, when Palpatine turns ugly in Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah.
There's like a theory that, you know, that's the way he actually looks. And by using the Force the way he did, he kind of exposes his looks.
Yeah.
That's not true, because I looked it up.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not.
He actually gets fried. It's the Force lightning that does it.
Yeah, it's a Force lightning, and then the overuse of dark side by using the Force. So we have the combination of both. But when you look into Sidious or Palpatine's history, he never looked like that, even in a younger age. It basically is the dark side of the Force and the Force lightning. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's not the Force. It's not the dark side. I actually saw the official explanation for it.
Okay.
It's actually his face melts. The eyes, however, is the dark side stuff, because they turn yellow. But the face melts from the Force lightning impact, which is kind of what happened to, you know, if you read the Truce at Bakura,
Mm-hmm.
That had happened to Luke's bones a bit.
Exactly. The calcification. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it ties in perfectly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay, I'm going to ask a really silly question, and don't anybody in the chat boo me because I don't do Disney, but I have this feeling, and it just shakes me to my bones, that Windu fell out of the window, right? Oh, window. Oh, how appropriate. Do you think Disney is going to have, the balls to bring Windu back and say that he grabbed onto something on his way down and voila, he's back?
Oh, yeah. They're going to do it as member berries. And the idiots are going to cheer. Oh, Windu's back. Fantastic. Even though George said he was dead.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he's dead. Another thing too that that I am like cringing to see that comes in the Kenobi series is him interacting with the Empire 10 years into his exile. I get that Legends did it, or not Legends, the original lore, the canon did it a year after he's gone into, or within a year going into exile. And the reason why he leaves Tatooine and goes on the mission is to help the Republic, in a sense, but more or less make sure any records and evidence on Polis Massa of the birth of the twins is non-existent. That is the only, and so that makes sense. It's within the year of his going into exile, so he can then go settle on Tatooine, disappear, train in the Force, and protect Luke and prepare for Luke when it's his time to start training.
Yeah, but how canon was that young adult book, though? Because there were tiers of canon.
Yeah, there was tiers. As far as I know, it's within the C canon, as far as I know. So.
Well, see, I was hoping they would use the book Kenobi for the series because, there's not a lot of lightsaber battles going on, but it's a real look at a man that is a man and the trials that humans go through being in exile, not being able to tell somebody you're a Jedi, not using your powers unless it's absolutely necessary. And I understand he learned the lesson from Qui-Gon, and I would say there's more Qui-Gon in Obi-Wan than there is. He is a Jedi, yes, but he also learned the humanity from Qui-Gon.
You know what? The Mandalorian made the Kenobi novel impossible because they changed the Tusken Raider lore big time. They destroyed the Tusken Raider lore, which is integral to the Kenobi novel.
And I love that part.
And as a bonus, the Krayt Dragon.
Oh, that was ridiculous.
The Krayt Dragon was supposed to be a lizard. You know?
Yeah, you mean the sandworm from Doom?
Yeah.
Doom? Okay.
Oh, yeah. And they saw that way.
We're honoring the past and blah blah blah. Favreau's honoring the past, and there's like hundreds and pictures of the Krayt Dragon, even from the concept art from A New Hope.
Yeah.
And they couldn't even do that.
I was hoping that they would use that because I'm sorry if a lot of people were expecting, a shootout at the OK Corral kind of Kenobi. It's not going to happen. But I found it more interesting to see the inner conflict of the man and what he had to deal with every day and his frustrations and being, I don't want to say left behind, but his oath that he would look out for Luke, but yet not hover, just be there. And can you imagine all those years being alone and having nothing to do when you came from being one of the top Jedi that was sent out to take care of everything, to go to nothing and not letting anyone know? I'm sorry, maybe that's too deep.
No. I'm just.
You know what's kind of, if you think about it, when Kenobi starts living on Tatooine, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time he's lived on his own.
Yeah.
Because a home has always been provided to him by the Jedi Order, and very early on his parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is he didn't move out of the house until he was close 40, probably.
Yeah, and he's always had a Padawan. He always had Anakin, or he had the other Jedi. And so you see a man in constant flux and struggle, dealing with not being able to tell anyone, trying to communicate with Qui-Gon to get some semblance of order, that his world got thrown into chaos when the twins were born.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it.
No, go ahead. Okay. Yeah, so I know we got into the Obi-Wan thing here, but it's kind of relevant even with the story in Revenge of the Sith, leading up to Revenge of the Sith and everything. And even what Larry says right here, Obi-Wan helped create Darth Vader. I think in the end, in their duel, when he realized that, Anakin wasn't gonna, return back from going dark and stuff like that, and he realized that he had to let him die, he, in their duel and stuff like that, I think Anakin was too far gone at the point, and when he left him burning without his appendages, without his legs and his arms and stuff like that, he truly thought he was dead. And that's
also the way he caught fire. I bet you his cock burned off.
Oh,
jeez.
So then, how is Vader being cocky then?
Yeah. Stop being cocky, Anakin.
Is that when we call him Mary Sue? What? Is that where we're going with this?
No, he's less from that. He's less from Mary Sue because he freaking burns up.
That's true. He's only a Mary. Okay, I got it.
He's only Mary. Sue left. Got cut off his appendages.
Admiral Cockburn.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. So, Snail Messiah, hello. This is part 1 of 2, I'm guessing. That's actually too shallow. Imagine monk trained, honed, at peace, detached, open to the force and everything around him, only waiting for the moment in time when it's time to come out of. And then I think he has a continuation around here. Here it is. Hiding. Well, our whole life he trained for the one moment where he is one with the force, no ego, no emotion, breathing actually perfect monk life. I don't think the Jedi were supposed to be perfect monks either. But I get your point. What do you think, Stig?
No, but they were supposed to be, Zen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Their last resort is fighting. Yeah. They trained to fight, but that was their last resort. So, so any type of negotiations and settling things peacefully as much as they can. If that doesn't happen, then they have the backup, which is fighting. But that they try to avoid that, and that's what Palpatine knew. In the PT is that the Jedi will defend peace, right? And by all means, and so that's how he knew in creating this war that the Jedi would take the side of the Republic, is to help maintain the peace, reestablish the peace.
Yeah, and he basically messes them up. He messes them up mentally.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. He may get mad at me. I don't know who that was in the chat, but I disagree with that, because if you look at Obi-Wan, he's always in the fray of things. No matter what happens, no matter how peacefully he wants it to end, he's always in the fray. And to go from constantly trying to take care of things that usually end with them not being quote unquote ending things peacefully. It's what did Padme say about negotiations? Oh God, I can't remember.
Aggressive negotiations.
Yes, he's always in aggressive negotiations. And he learned that from Qui-Gon, because they were always put in situations where it was aggressive negotiations, and to go to that, from that to being totally quote unquote zen. Can you imagine a life from constantly going, constantly doing, being sent from here to there to being stationary and nothing to do, no one to talk to, and not being able to tell or show anyone you're a Jedi after all those years?
Yeah. And then, so this kind of goes into Kenobi novel, and this kind of also goes into the Last of the Jedi, the first two books that has Kenobi having to go on that mission to protect the twins and stuff like that. And at first, he's experiencing his PTSD, I guess you can say, where he's going into depression. Everything he knew is now non-existent, and we do see that in the Kenobi novel, right? And then finally, when he meets up with some surviving Jedi that he needs to help with this mission and go to Polis Massa, cover up any other last details that they forgot to or missed or didn't think about, blah, 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 blah. Then he realizes, and we have Qui-Gon talking with him about things too, off and on, not as much, but when it's needed. So what Kenobi realizes is that I can't stop being a part of the Force and stop being a part of the world, and I can't keep on separating myself from people. My mission is to protect Luke. So he realizes that he can't go off and be by himself fully and meditate and be a monk, I guess you can say, that he has to get in fully and live. He has to continue to live. He has to continue to protect. Yes, he still has to continue to train, but he still has to continue to live. And go ahead.
I also think he sees it from Padme's point of view, that when she said, "You're breaking my heart," when he, quote unquote, he thought he killed Anakin, when he said, "I loved you, I loved you, Anakin." Can you imagine a father killing their son?
Oh, yeah.
And if people look at it from that point of view, where it comes down to you killing your son, or if you let him live, he will totally destroy everything you know. The heart-wrenching thing he was going through at the time when he was fighting Anakin.
Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of? And it might be George's intention too. The King Arthur story, when they have to fight Mordred, who's Arthur's son.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And they're talking about like what Yoda says that Jedi crave no adventures, basically. Kenobi wasn't craving adventures, but he knew. And then even being on Tatooine,
Anakin did.
Yeah, Anakin did, and so did
Luke.
Luke.
That's like a little sign right there. You want to just go on an adventure and see all the planets, and he's pretty much going against the Jedi norm right there from the get-go.
Yeah.
And and Anakin was trying to Obi-Wan was trying to fulfill what Qui-Gon promised Anakin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you look at it from that point of view, he's trying to deliver on the promises that his master made.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I said, I get too deep into a lot of this stuff
when
I start thinking about it.
Yeah, and then we have then that's paralleled with Luke, carrying on the promises that his from that he told that he made to his masters on creating the new order and carrying on the Jedi teachings, right? And when you get into that, they tease about craving adventure, what have you. But the thing is, that's not a thing anymore because they know that if they have to go out on mission, that they it's not a problem or whatever and stuff like that. So I mean like again feeding too much into that as well, but we do see a significant evolution between the old and the new Jedi Order and the philosophy as well.
I know, I can't wait to get into the new Jedi Academy books, but I want to read all the other first. And okay, nobody boo me, I haven't seen the Clone Wars. I'm reading the books just like I did with Game of Thrones, so I don't have any knowledge of anything that's going on. I base my judgments on the books only.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
that's where my perception comes in for this.
I would say stay away from the Clone Wars and just read through all the classical stuff. I don't know if it would confuse you. It may make you mad for the lore breaking that it does. There are some good moments in the Clone Wars, but I think that maybe just stay away from that and just continue reading the novels and stuff for now. What do you think, Steve?
The Clone Wars should have been its own little canon, because when you spot the mistakes in it, they're so easily avoidable. That's the thing. That Dave Filoni has brought back, I think, 3 or 4 characters at least that were dead in canon, and he brings them back as if they're nothing. And Quinlan Voss is he brings him in, and he's a dumbass surfer dude that's somehow a Jedi. That's
you mean gorgeous person that you could rip his shirt off? Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, you would be so pissed at that.
Yeah, and it absolutely, I did a tweet about this today about how the chips in the clones' heads in the Clone Wars makes no sense. It contradicts the movie. Because when Order 66 is being executed, right? Palpatine broadcasts, the hologram thing to the clone commanders. And then they walk over to the troops and says, fire.
Yeah.
The troops didn't hear the Order 66.
Or they didn't get that in their brain, like an electrical message, basically.
Yeah, because if it was the chip, then he wouldn't have had to send the hologram at all.
Yeah.
In the Clone Wars, they did that?
Yeah.
I would be throwing something at the television right about that time.
Yeah. Okay. If the chip was implanted when they were born, right? Which the Clone Wars kind of hints at or explains. Then the programming would have happened then too. Which means the guy who programmed it, he would never know that Anakin was gonna turn to the dark side in a few years.
Yeah, he should have been targeted, right?
Yeah, he should have been targeted on the spot because he's a Jedi. If the chip thing goes off, he's a Jedi. They're gonna shoot him.
Okay, right? Let me ask a question now because it always kind of confused me. The clones, right? That was Boba Fett's clone, or was it Boba Fett's son's clone?
It was Jango.
Jango's clones.
It was Jango's clone.
It's the writing is that dumb, And you know, Order 66. It's obviously an order. It's not like a turn on the chip. It's an actual order because you see it. The order is being given in the movie.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
In the movie, he was friends with Obi-Wan, right? And when Obi-Wan goes after Grievous,
yeah,
he drops his lightsaber, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the captain, okay?
Yeah, Commander Cody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's the one who received the order, not everyone involved, just him.
You actually see that. He's the only one who gets the order, and then he walks over to another clone, points at Kenobi, and says, "Fire."
Yeah. Okay, that's
the other
what
guy
I thought.
Never got that code.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that wasn't making any sense once I read the books. Now, before I read the books, it was like, okay, I didn't really think about it because it was like the order was given, the captains went out and said that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that's just chain of command, and that's the way my brain thinks.
Yeah, and that was the whole point all along. They had a fanatically loyal army.
Mm-hmm.
They followed orders to the point, and it's hinted at in Attack of the Clones, right? Because Jango Fett is saying, "Yeah, they'll get the job done."
Yeah,
and their blind loyalty to the cause is all through all of the projects. All of the comics, novels, what have you.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll it's if one of them has to die to make a mission succeed, they'll do it on the spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd throw something at the television. I'm glad I didn't watch it.
Yeah. So just ignore it right now, and then after you get through like that era of reading, then if you feel like putting yourself through that, go ahead.
I like how you put that.
Yeah, I do praise some of the Clone Wars for like not stormtroopers, but clone arc, stories. Some of them are pretty good, but that's few and far in between for me. But so like I said, I'll give praise where praise is due. But other than that, it's not my favorite. And it's actually my very least favorite when it comes to, George Lucas era of Star Wars. And now it's basically put into the new timeline. And I'm happy for that, even though it has ties into the EU somewhat and it destroys it. It's more or less now Disney canon, or not even Disney lore to me.
Okay, I want to ask one question that has been confusing me a little bit with everything that's jumping around with Disney.
Mm-hmm.
If they use one tag or something, a little snippet from the EU, does that automatically make it canon again?
No, it's because everything around it is changed. So if they put a EU character into the Bad Batch, basically, it's that character in name only.
So it's kind of like JJ's Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, JJ's Star Trek. It's like an alternate universe thingy going on.
To be fair, it's also JJ's Star Wars, isn't it?
That's
the same thing. He did the same thing. The Sentinel, they are indoctrinated with orders, and indoctrination is always much more believable in carrying out horrible atrocities than some bullshit inhibitor chip. Caveat, F. Filoni. And that's true. They were they were trained, they were flashed, learned. So that's the thing in Star Wars, the flash learning. And also their brains were kind of genetically altered to obey by default. It's
basically the SS troops of Star Wars.
Oh, you mean it's the SJWs come to life on the screen? Okay, I got it. Yeah. Thank you, Sentinel. Thanks. I got it. It's sheep following sheep right off the cliff.
Yeah, and
Okay.
sheep, and ironically, sheep are the ones that are cheering for it.
Mhm.
Sorry, shots fired.
Sorry.
It's my personal opinion.
I was gonna say it's kind of like lemmings. When one goes over the cliff, they all follow and drown themselves. Okay.
So I don't know if you misinterpreted what Sentinel was saying. Basically, in the original lore, under George and under the Clone Wars, before the inhibitor chip, they were indoctrinated, and their minds were genetically altered to obey and stuff like that. Whereas in Filoni's the Clone Wars, the bio inhibitor chip was put in there.
Yeah, I appreciate. I can't see the chat, guys, because I'm on a phone. So if good or bad, you're saying stuff about me, that is what it is. But
no one's saying anything about you whatsoever.
I appreciate all the feedback that I'm getting because I'm learning so much. Yeah. And I appreciate all of you. And it's just my perceptions of what I've read so far.
Yeah. Yeah. And then before we conclude here, because I know we strayed way from Labyrinth of Evil, but we are in the same time frame and stuff. Like if once you get into the Commando series and all of that with the clone troops, you will learn, and you probably see me share this now and then, and I have it pinned on my Twitter page, is that the null arcs are basically what Bad Batch is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so I like that. Should you put that in quotes, supposed to be?
Oh, I do that now and then. Reminders.
And Shane in the chat says the Tarkin book, which is Disney canon, heavily references the Darth Plagueis book.
Yeah.
And that's because the Tarkin book was supposed to be EU canon, but they had to modify it to make it fit with Disney canon, and that's when I think they made Tarkin gay.
Yeah, they modified it.
Yeah, but the Plagueis novel is still referenced big time in that book. And then Disney decanonizes the Plagueis book, which is okay. You just released a book that heavily references it.
Yeah, that's amazing to me because that is an amazing book. I'm sorry. I was talking to Stig. I kept going, look at this. I kept telling him, I love this book. I love this book because it gives you all the backstory on Palpatine. It makes you see where he came from. It makes you see what made him into this.
Yeah.
And it makes you see Plagueis from a different point of view. Totally.
Yeah, exactly. And so my question now, since we're going to start wrapping this up now, is reading this, does this like solidify Palpatine as a villain for you even more, Lady Tauriel?
Yeah, he reminds me of a snake. He slithers around, finds the best rock to be on to get warm. Once he gets warm, he slithers down and finds the coolest place to be, and he hides in the shadows. But that's exactly what a Sith Lord is supposed to do. So even though you may hate him, he learned his lessons very well. Right, wrong, or indifferent. If you read Plagueis, you will know where Palpatine is coming from, and you will know why. And I hate to say this, but it may give you a little more sympathy for the character. No, there is no redeeming qualities for the character, but you understand why he does what he does.
Okay. And so do you think, okay, so now I'm going to ask you to rate this, and do you think that this is a perfect, and of course I probably already know your answer, but we're just going to have you answer it anyways. So do you think this is a perfect tie-in leading up to Revenge of the Sith? Even though we know it's
Yes, I do. I would rate it. I would rate it probably probably a 6.5 out of 10 for me.
Okay, 6.5.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to ask you one more question before I move on to Stig. So 6.5. So why an average?
What I've read so far of all the other books I've read, there's some that are below that, and there's some that are above that.
Yeah.
Average wise, I try not to gauge it from the movies.
Yeah.
I try to keep the books separate from movies. Yeah, it's a good tie-in. But my reference for this, as I'm reading, is just books. And I rate movies different from the books.
Okay. Fair enough. Awesome. Yeah, and then the Blue Pig Gaming. I know there's a few of you guys that jumped in that I forgot to say hello, but thank you guys for tuning in as well. Heir to the Jedi was as well, I think. So basically saying Heir to the Jedi was a novel that was supposed to make it in Legends and then re-edited to fit in the new lore. So it was supposed to be in canon and then it was re-edited. And I did make the mistake when it came out. I bought it thinking that it was supposed to be with the original canon and then realized, oh crap, this is a tie-in to the new lore.
Well, you have something to light the firewood with come winter. So
yeah, and this happened right during the buyout and on what have you. So I went and got it thinking that, oh well, because what's interesting is Razor's Edge is Leia's standalone novel that came out the same time, and they decided to let it go into Legends or into the original lore during the buyout. They then decided Heir to the Jedi to be put in their canon or their lore, and then also Tarkin to be put in their lore. So they were very selective on which way they wanted to place the books. I'm curious why they decided to go ahead and put Leia's standalone novel, Razor's Edge, in the original canon and not into their lore. I wonder why.
I think I know, because Razor's Edge was released a little bit before, I think.
Okay.
So they haven't made that decision yet. But Tarkin and the Luke book, they had to release something Star Wars quickly.
Yeah.
So that's how they did it, and they did it without any plan.
Yeah. Other than
edit why here all the novels are being contradicted left and right by the show. Filoni has actually pretty much destroyed 2 canons alone so far. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So now that we are on to you, Stig, here. So what did you think about the novel and what is your rating? Did you think that it served its purpose or what have you?
It absolutely served its purpose. It ties into the Revenge of the Sith movie, and it's supposed to get you excited for the movie. So I just basically rewound the clock a bit and imagined reading this before seeing the movie at all. Right? So it's very effective when it comes to that. But the first half of the book is a bit of a drag, because it's just they go from here to there all the time. They could have done at least one a pit stop less, right?
Yeah.
But the second half, that's where it shines, when Coruscant gets attacked, and the Sidious and Yoda conversations, which are fantastic. So it does what it's supposed to do. This book, and it gets the characters spot on. And I wish there was more Shock T in it, actually.
Yeah.
But it's basically a book of 2 halves for me, and I'm landing on a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
It's kind of part of an unofficial trilogy. It's this one, Revenge of the Sith, and The Rise of Vader. It's the so-called Anakin trilogy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you read all of those three in a row, you'll basically get one hell of a Star Wars trilogy.
Exactly. You know? All of Anakin his turning. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a solid 7 out of 10, I'd say. I'm pretty much on page with Tauriel on this. You know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10 just because I want it to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I don't expect you to. You want to read this and answer this, Stig? It's up on the screen by Blue Piggy Gaming.
Yes, it's in this book, but that business on Cato Nemoidia doesn't count.
Yeah, exactly. So you get information what he is exactly talking about in the book. So I suggest if you haven't had a chance to read it, and we didn't spoil too much. We just did a plot heavy kind of like overview.
Side note.
Okay.
For everyone who liked this book, right, and are also getting into the EU, there's a second book. Actually, there's more. There's one called Approaching Storm, which does exactly the same, the episode 2 as this one did with Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
And there's actually 2 novels. There's 3 that does it with episode 1. There's Plagueis, Cloak of Deception, and Darth Maul, Shadowhunter. All those 3 takes place at the same time.
Yeah.
And they lead into episode 1. So there's Approaching Storm, worth a read, because it basically ends where episode 2 starts, and that book is referenced in the movie as well, because it's the mission, with the Gundarks. Anakin fell into the nest of Gundarks or whatever.
Yeah.
The mission on Ancion, I think it was called.
Yeah.
That's why Luminara and Barriss are in Palpatine's office at the start of the movie, because they just arrived with Anakin and Kenobi.
And Shadowhunter, I can't praise it enough. If you haven't read it, read it.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. Just read it. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. Just read it.
Yeah, and Darth Maul is pretty much like the Terminator in that one.
Yeah.
Which is and then he gets defeated by an unarmed Ahsoka. Come on. It's retarded.
Yeah, I know it is. All right, so we're going to finally wrap up here. I really enjoyed this book. I do think, again, it's supposed to fit well into Revenge of the Sith. I do agree there are some slow areas, but we do get into more depth of everything that leads up to Revenge of the Sith. We do get some. This is great writing from Luceno. We do get characters that are on par. We get the development of of Anakin. And him starting to see a lot of darkness in him and everything. So it's a well-written book that I think that you guys would enjoy if you haven't read it. And like I said, after you're done reading or listening to it, put on Revenge of the Sith, or even pick up the novel. Even better, if you want to continue reading instead of watching, pick up the novel. You will enjoy the how well it's put together. And then if you want to go further, then Rise of Darth Vader, Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader, to conclude that, to see Anakin's full fall into Darth Vader. And so I'm going to go ahead and conclude this as well. So thank you so much for my panelists here. Lady Tauriel, please tell them again where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter, Lady Tauriel 1. I make comments there all the time, and I appreciate all the feedback. I have a channel. It's Lady Tauriel. I haven't done a lot lately, but check out my videos. They're fun. I try to bring a smile to your face. We're going to try to do some more as my workload hopefully decreases. I can't guarantee that, guys, and you will find me in different chats all the time. I'm there. I'm a newbie to the EU. hopefully I made this interesting and fun for you guys, because it was wonderfully fun for me, and I appreciate Laura having me on. And Stig is always fun to be with and banter with. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
I love you.
I know.
And that's to you and everybody else for joining here today. All right, Stig, now tell us where you're going to be within this week or two.
I don't know. Also, apparently, I sound like someone who smokes an old-fashioned pipe while wearing a tweed jacket.
Oh, is that what they said in the chat?
Yeah, riff make. So apparently I sound like that. Well, it's better though, because last time I sounded like an AI, apparently.
Oh, so you progressed out of the AI.
Yeah, now I can, you know what? Tweed jacket and smoking a pipe.
You're talking?
Or rather, I can train Buffy.
Oh, okay. That's cool. You're Giles. Okay.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway,
yeah, I'm a Buffy fan too.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, I could see that. Awesome. So Stig, oh yeah, and one more thing too. Well, go ahead and go, Stig, and then I'll say my thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to be anywhere this week because there's no coffee chat because you're on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure about the Game of Thrones thing because I think Sporking might be on a vacation still. So I think I have a week off, but in a few hours, I'll be deputizing for Stephanie, my nerdy home. I'm going to be a stand-in co-pilot for Jade Shadow.
Yeah.
On her Talk Nerdy to Us show, which starts in 3.5 hours.
Yes, so please go and support. Yes, lady?
Well, you never know. I may do a surprise live stream since you're going to be off, Sporking's going to be off, and maybe I'll drag that Norwegian on.
I'm actually from Norway. I'm not English. We don't use tweed. Come on.
Yes. All right. And then for me, of course, I am going to be, and I announced this on Twitter as well, this coming week, I won't be available at all. So there won't be any coffee chat. I'm supposed to do an Ewok lore that might not go up until next week because I just didn't have time to do anything yet. After I'm done here, I'm actually packing because we leave tomorrow morning. So I'll be on vacation. So EU or coffee chat will be in 2 weeks, Thursday. You'll see an Ewok lore video come up because I'm focusing on species right now for the lore. So stay tuned for that. And that's courtesy of Stig. So I listened to my co-pilot for, coffee chat and honored him. And we're going to, I'm going to, talk about Ewok lore. And then tonight I'll be on Fall of Night with Open Airlock and Lost Jedi and Raging Rhino. So will Raging Rhino appear drunk on there or hanging over or will you show stay tuned. So I look forward to that, and we have some interesting fun news. We're going to keep it lighthearted as we go through all these little controversial stuff that we're going to discuss and make it fun, make you guys laugh, have a good time, shits and giggles, that. So thank you guys again for my panels. Thank you guys in the chat for coming and listening. This was a very in-depth talk about the lore within Labyrinth, surrounding it, and Star Wars in general. Thank you so much, Lady Tauriel, for the questions and, digging deep. And thank you, Stig, for your knowledge as well. And thank you, chat, for participating and sharing what you know and asking questions and just following along as well. So again, may the Force be with you, and I will see you guys in about a week.